So thank you very much. My name's Harriet Sheffer. I run the creative, marketing and insight teams over at OUTFORM APAC. And as you can probably hear from my accent, I'm not from Shanghai, where our OUTFORM HQ for APAC is. I'm from the UK, and I've been building retail and brand experiences here for about 15 years. So you'll also see in the crowd some of our APAC team. We've got our tech director at the back, our head of APAC, our sales director, and some more fantastic team members who love talking about retail tech. So after the talk, please go over and have a chat with them. Our activation is just over there. Okay, cool. So what do? We build interactive travel experiences, interactive retail experiences, and we are global. So we've been doing this worldwide for a few years, and we do it across lots of different verticals. So in China, we predominantly do luxury sector, lots of CE, and alcohol brands in travel retail. And we are global, so the Shanghai team are here today. But if you guys are from a different office, from another region, welcome to reach out to us, and we're more than happy to introduce you to our global team. So we operate a model called Think, Make, Run. I think I'm blocking it here. But this means we do everything from insight to big ideas. We have a design team in-house, and then we do our own engineering. Our tech director is at the back there. We do that over in Shenzhen with our R&D department. We then manufacture, install, and can maintain, feeding back all this data to travel retailers so people know who's in store and what they're buying. We also have some retail-ready products, two of which are over there in the corner. We've got the Dynamics Pro and the Digital Mannequin over there, so make sure you go and check it out after the chat. And what do? We provide travel retail solutions. We know that this industry can often be pretty old-fashioned in many ways. It's very, very complicated, and it has really, really changed in the last 4 years. We know that this is the second TWFA after COVID, and we're all so happy to be back here. But travel retail hasn't quite caught up to kind of solve some of these challenges that COVID presented us with. So we know that we're going to be selling in the next 10 years to a really different consumer than the ones we were used to dealing with. We can see that it's going to be very shortly a majority Chinese APAC consumer, and already 66% of these travelers going abroad are Gen Z. They're under 34, and this is a notoriously difficult consumer demographic to market to them. How do we market to them? And where are they spending? We know that in Hainan, during COVID, it had a huge boost to spending. People couldn't leave. They went to Hainan, and Hainan are really pushing for this, and it's where some really big retail activations are happening. But this year we'll also see Japan be supercharged with Chinese spenders in travel retail as the yen plummets, and Japan becomes a really important market for these young Gen Z consumers. So, what do? How do we reach these guys? They're notoriously difficult. The first key thing that we've been working on is making sure everything we develop is socially shareable. Social sharing, these guys are digital natives, mobile first. They were born almost with a touch screen. So how do we capture them? And how do we make sure that social sharing is to those platforms they use? That's Weibo, Douyin, Xiaohongshu, who I think actually over here, there you are. So, how do we make experiences which are relevant to those platforms? This is something we did for Ray-Ban, which was product information mixed with social sharing, and that you could share directly to your platforms. We also have worked with Absolute on making sure that there were drinks available at the gate in an airport in the US. I didn't realize there was all this club music involved in these ones, but these are really eye-catching and perfect for social sharing, in that very quick time you have to capture their attention. We also do these really interactive, shareable window spaces for those travel retail areas. So this one's actually in Las Vegas, and it uses really high definition 3D content mixed with real content, real products at the front to really engage the user and persuade them to socially share. It's really cool. The next thing, scannable. We know that scanning in European and American markets is becoming more accepted, but in China it's almost scan first. People are very willing to scan, much more than in Western markets. And whilst this is great for giving these Chinese consumers who may not have language abilities which match those of your in-store staff, it also allows data capture for you. We know the relationship with brands and travel retailers is very complicated, with high targets. They can be very interesting relationships, but we can give you the power to access your own data. You know exactly how many shoppers are actually coming into your space per day, how many people are lifting things up. And more than that, the young Chinese consumer is now using these custom-made travel mini programs. They probably already know what they want to buy before they leave the house. They've already downloaded a mini program, especially for travel retail. But if you haven't managed to capture them before entering the airport, you need to make sure you capture them in the airport. So having devices like this is our digital mannequin. Again, this is the device over here. And this all incentivizes sharing. This is so you can, this particular one is a fashion execution where you can choose a model who looks more like you. And then we also do scannable sampling devices. We know that an airport is an incredibly successful place to put sampling in because people might sample on the way out. It's small enough to fit in your luggage, and then they can purchase coming back through your travel retail space on the way back home. And you just scan it, out comes a pod, you enter your information, so you have all that juicy consumer data, and then they're gifted with a prize, which is their incentive. We did something very similar in Heathrow Airport for Samsung. Where they could get the chance to win a custom pair of headphones on their way back into Heathrow Airport. Lastly, lift and learn. We know that it can be a real struggle to find those heavily informed, brand-appropriate staff in airports. So, how better than to let your consumer do self-discovery, especially those young Gen Z clients. They're not necessarily going to feel connected to the member of staff you have in your store. So, we build custom self-discovery platforms, self-discovery machines, so they can move around your retail space, which may not have a great member of staff there, and learn about the products. This one was for Tommy Hilfiger. And lastly, these are using sensors, motion sensors, so as soon as a device is lifted, your customer can get an area of information just around the product. And that's just on the left over there behind, if you want to go check it out afterwards. It's very cool. So does this actually drive sales? We know these things are expensive, they're hard to use, content can be complicated to manage, but do they actually work? We make sure that many of our digital retail devices have tracking tech in them. Some of it was developed by Edmund, who's at the back over there. These are floor tiles. Some of them have just motion sensors, so they can tell how many people are going past a day. This particular example, we have good data on. It's a digital table with self-learning abilities in the front. It's got lift and learn and a touch panel. And this one, in just 3 months of being inside this Gangnam store, increased sales by 30%. So we really do think what we preach actually does work. So, OUTFORM do scannable, shareable, and enabled for product learning tech, specialized for travel retail. So if you have any questions, we'd love to hear from you afterwards, or come chat to us and check out our booth. Thank you very much.